On the opening night of the 2025 U.S. Open, the lights of Arthur Ashe Stadium seemed a little brighter, the atmosphere a little more electric, and the anticipation much heavier than usual. The reason was simple. Naomi Osaka was back on one of the biggest stages in tennis. 4 years, fans around the world had waited to see her return to the kind of Grand Slam action that first made her a household name. And when she finally stepped onto the court, dressed in a stunning floral red outfit that immediately caught the eye, it felt like the sport itself had been waiting for this very moment. The crowd roared, not just because she was a champion, but because of the story she carried with her. Osaka wasn't just returning as an athlete. She was returning as a mother, as a woman who had faced struggles, and as someone who had bravely stepped away from the sport when her mental health demanded it. Every fan inside the stadium knew this wasn't just another match. It was something deeper. It was about resilience, healing, and rediscovering joy on the court. Her opponent, Greet Minnen, had come prepared. She knew the spotlight wasn't on her tonight, but that didn't stop her from fighting hard. Yet, right from the very first game, it was clear that Osaka had walked back into her element. Her movement was sharp, her serve fluid, and her focus unshakable. Within minutes, the crowd realized they weren't just watching a player testing the waters, they were watching a champion reclaiming her fire. The red outfit, which fans couldn't stop talking about, wasn't just fashion. It was a statement. It radiated confidence, strength, and a reminder that Naomi Osaka doesn't just play tennis, she embodies it. Social media exploded the moment images hit the screen. Fans called it the coolest outfit ever worn at the U.S. Open, and hashtags celebrating her return trended globally. But beyond the aesthetics, it was her tennis that left everyone speechless. In just over an hour and 20 minutes, Osaka dispatched Minnen 6-3, 6-4. She hit 3 aces, converted all her break points, and barely looked troubled. It wasn't perfection in numbers that made the performance remarkable. It was the calmness, the composure, and the visible joy she played with. This was the same player who had once admitted the pressure of expectations felt overwhelming. Now, she carried herself with a quiet strength that made her look more powerful than ever. As the match unfolded, the cameras captured moments that told their own story. A small smile after a crisp backhand winner. A glance up at her team after sealing a service game. And finally, a wide, genuine grin after match point was won. These weren't the expressions of someone weighed down by the fear of losing. They were the expressions of someone who had rediscovered why she fell in love with tennis in the first place. The crowd inside Ashe knew it too. They didn't just applaud, they stood and roared, long after the handshake at the net. It wasn't only about the victory. It was about the journey that led to it. Fans who had followed her from her early triumphs at the U.S. Open years ago, to her hiatus from the sport, to her very public battles with mental health, felt like they were witnessing a rebirth. Her on-court interview carried the same emotion. With her usual honesty, Osaka thanked the fans for their support, admitted how nervous she felt walking back into such a huge moment, and then spoke about how grateful she was to be there. She didn't sound like someone trying to prove herself. She sounded like someone embracing the game on her own terms. That alone made the night unforgettable. In the press room later, reporters noted how relaxed she seemed. No heavy sighs, no nervous glances. She spoke openly about balancing life as an athlete and a mother, about how perspective had changed her. "I just want to enjoy playing," she said, her words resonating far beyond tennis. It was a reminder that sport is not only about trophies and records, but about humanity, joy, and resilience. For the fans, this wasn't just another first-round victory. It felt like a cultural moment. People brought their children to the stadium to see her, knowing they were witnessing something larger than sport. Young girls in the stands wore red dresses to mirror her outfit, holding up signs that read, "Welcome back, Naomi." Social media timelines filled with heartfelt messages from around the world. Even other athletes chimed in, calling her performance inspiring. And yet, beneath the glitter of the occasion, there was something beautifully simple about her return. Naomi Osaka had walked onto a tennis court, played her game, and walked off victorious. No drama, no chaos, no overhype, just pure tennis. Sometimes, that's all a champion needs to remind the world why they fell in love with her game in the first place. But what made it even more powerful was the sense of anticipation it left behind. If she could look this sharp in her very first Grand Slam match back, what could the rest of the tournament hold? Was this just the beginning of another Osaka run in New York, a city where she has already lifted the trophy twice before? Fans began to whisper it, commentators began to hint at it. Maybe, just maybe, the queen of hard courts was ready to rise again. The cameras followed her as she walked off Ash, waving softly to the fans, her smile lingering even as she disappeared into the tunnel. That image alone carried weight. It wasn't the smile of someone basking in a single win, it was the smile of someone who had found herself again. In sports, moments like this are rare. Wins come and go, records are broken every year, and new champions are crowned. But there are nights when the story is bigger than the score. Naomi Osaka's return to the US Open was one of those nights. It was about resilience, about coming back stronger after stepping away, about proving that vulnerability and strength can exist together. As the lights of Ash dimmed and the crowd slowly emptied out, one thing became certain: tennis had missed Naomi Osaka. And now that she was back, the sport felt whole again. For the fans, the memory of that red floral outfit, the aces that kissed the line, the calm dominance she displayed, and the heartfelt words she spoke afterward would remain etched in their minds. Not because she won a match, but because she reminded everyone why sport has the power to move us, not with perfection, but with humanity. And so, as Naomi Osaka's 2025 US Open journey began, it wasn't just another tournament. It was a celebration of her return, a story of strength and grace, and perhaps the opening chapter of one of the greatest comebacks the sport has ever seen. Do you want me to also create a viral YouTube title plus thumbnail text for this Osaka script like I've done for your other US Open videos?